fight for the fold, for the good old black and gold, where the Tigers from old...
Good morning and welcome again to the GDFL Footy Show, coming to you out of Geelong on a beautiful Saturday morning with another round of footy matches coming on this afternoon, and boy are we excited about that. Last weekend it was the Anzac Day round with some fantastic ceremonies conducted at some of the grounds, and one particularly out at Footrod Flats, where the North Geelong Magpies were far too good for the Anarchy Roos, with Paul Brigade coming back from his week off, booting a lovely 5 goals. The Belmont Lions continue their great form at the start of the 2015 season. Too good for the Cry Devils, with Blair and Lima sharing the goal kicking there with 4 and 3 respectively. Bannockburn, the Tigers, back in the winning list for sure here. Too good for the Winchelsea Blues with that man again, Tom Malone Grant, booting 7 goals. And we'll talk about the fact that Alec Tagani once again correctly predicted how many goals he was going to kick. The Geelong West Cheetahs, too good for the Werribee Central's Ducks, with Thompson booting 4 goals for the Cheetahs. And the Thompson East Geelong game, well, they're back on the winning list now, the Tommy Tigers, and there's a one bloke beside me that's very happy about that in the battle of the roundabout. Far too good for the East Geelong Eagles, with Jackson McLeod kicking 4 goals and Murphy 5 goals in a losing side for East Geelong. The 94.7 match of the day with the Inverleigh Hawks. Well, they wasn't really enough set there. Been up there on top of the tree along with Belpost Hill and North Geelong, but they were too good for the Belpost Hill Panthers, with Blundell booting 5 goals for the Inverleigh Hawks. Hello, I'm Dick Philpott, and once again I've assembled some of the biggest names and brains in country football. Eradicate, adjudicate, communicate, and definitely not procrastinate. And firstly, the man beside me, the mayor without the hair, of course, and the co-host of Hashtag Giddy Up, 94.7 The Pulse, 12 o'clock every Saturday morning, John Mitchell. G'day, mate.
G'day, Dick. How are you, mate?
Now, they've stuck a grandfather clock behind you.
Well, we are both grandfathers.
But the reason is you're on time this morning, because last week you walked in halfway through the show.
Well, you know what happens, the dawn service, it all got to me a little bit too much, and I just missed the boat, to say, for want of a better word, Dick. I was on the couch having a scratch, but that's okay. Geez.
As you do, I suppose. And of course, the other little fella that needs absolutely no introduction, the Werribee Duck himself, life member, president of the Werribee Central's Footy Club, Grubby Cations. Good morning, mate.
Good morning, Dick. Good morning, boys. Good morning, viewers. Good morning. Geez, I was supposed to send a cheer, and I forgot. Jackie from Storm Traffic, and Nora and Ross from Snakes and Ladders. G'day. And that beautiful ceremony. That new beautiful ceremony you're talking about out at Anarchy.
Yep.
Weren't you supposed to be part of that?
I knew
and what happened here,
you were going to bring that.
Couldn't they get the stage big enough for you?
Oh, funny. But I got caught in the rain coming out there.
Oh, and how late were you?
A bit late. And another fellow was shut up, Grubby.
Disgraceful.
Absolutely. No introduction. All the ladies love him. And he's also a sensational predictor of goals. Alex Tagani. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, Dick. I love to be on the airways this weekend in the footy world.
Yep.
Between some Carlton and Collingwood supporters. Obviously, big weekend in there.
What a massive game it was last night at the MCG. We get a bit of time. We might talk about that. It was a magnificent game. Huge crowd.
Great to see the Blues get up, Dick.
I'm back from Melbourne now, so I don't care.
That clock stood still. It hasn't even moved the time on that. You never know what's going on. What about our new uniforms? How good do we look this morning?
Fantastic, Dick.
Hey?
Fantastic.
Some of us look all right.
I reckon, if my imagination was maroon slimming.
Maroon, I don't know about slimming, Dick, but I don't know whether those buttons line up, do they?
They don't line up.
No, you're going to have to take that back to Tent City.
Got more pressure than Saddam Hussein, these buttons, I can tell you. And he's still on with us. Okay, now we're going to go to an interview now that Grubby caught up with the coach of the Inverleigh Hawks after their magnificent win last week against the Belpost Hill Panthers. Here's Grubby with Mark McDowell.
We're here with Mark McDowell, the coach of the Inverleigh Footy Club, after a magnificent Anzac Day performance. And Macca, that has to be one of the best wins you've been involved in the club with in your couple of years with Inverleigh.
Probably the best win was when we beat East in that final last year, where we come from a long way back at half time. That was a really great win by the boys. But no, it's really pleasing today that they put in 4 solid quarters right through to the end of the game, and we got the result.
We were all waiting for the Belpost Hill. Obviously, they've been the best side in 8 years. We were obviously waiting for them to come with that big Belpost Hill rush. And every time they tried it, you just put that much pressure on them that you didn't allow them into the game at all.
Yeah, well, pressure, it's a beauty, and it's an easy word, but there's a lot of things that contribute to that pressure. But basically, if the pressure's on, you can't coach against it. It's what wins and loses games. So we've really been focused on applying that pressure and trying to apply it for 4 quarters. But in fairness to them, they had a few quality players out today.
Yeah, well, I wasn't going to mention that because you send out 22 and that's what you sent out on the ground. And they did have a couple, fair enough, but a lot of the talk around Inverleith's been around your young blokes. They're starting to come good, better and better each week. Grundle was fantastic today and he had a lot of young mates. But geez, I like the game of Blake Hutchinson, one of the older players. He had a bit of ankle, hamstring, shoulder, and he got my best on the ground, actually.
Yeah, well, he wasn't far from getting my best on ground either, but, you know, Blake's got AFL skills. That's the skill level he's at, and he's tough, he's courageous, he's in and under, he can do the stuff on the outside. He's just a super player.
Now, obviously, you're keyed up for a game like this. How do you get him up for next week after a wonderful victory?
Yeah, no, you know, we've had 2 hard games now. And, you know, last week was a really tough game against Belmont where there was pressure on all day as well. We fell for this trap last year. We dropped a couple of games. I reckon we dropped a game out here at Belmont and we dropped a game out here against Winchelsea last year, which could have cost us the double chance. So I've just got to use that to let them know that, you know, we can't afford to, today was an 8-point game. Last week was an 8-point game. 8-point game if you're playing someone who you think you're going to be contending with in the, to make up the final 5. So, you know, if you win an 8-point game, you don't want to give it back the next week when you're potentially playing a side that's maybe not cracking in for finals. But, you know, East, over other years have started the season slow, and as they develop a bit of fitness and a bit of stuff like that, they seem to finish pretty strongly. So we'll see. We'll have a look at them tomorrow, see how they go against Thompson, and see if we can get our matchups, and hopefully the boys, crack in again next week.
One of the things I picked up today, Gussie Achini's been a backman for a long time. Looked like to me today you had him on the ground, off the ground, running on the ball for a while. While it didn't look 100% effective, it looked like it could be a good work in progress.
Yeah, we were really conscious of today being a bit wet and a little bit more contested football in around the middle of the ground. We thought last year when we played Belpost in the final, they sort of bashed us up a little bit in the midfield with some bigger bodies. So we've got a couple of young boys there in Gus and Lockie Seed. We decided to throw them in the middle and give them half a game each and just had them cracking in and putting pressure on in around that centre bounce. And they've done a really good job for us. That's what we wanted them to do, is put on that physical pressure at the centre bounce. Like I think in the second quarter there, Belpost Hill got a couple of easy clearances and hurt us, because they will if they get hold of the ball. And we really locked down in that area and got them to exert that pressure on them so they couldn't hit tarred laces out and all that sort of stuff. And so it's something we'll probably be experimenting with for a bit longer yet.
Well, because of that, Smithy didn't agree with me, but because of that, I actually gave Lockie Seed a vote. I thought he was fantastic and he played the role for you. On a lighter side, probably your biggest job now is to keep Hutchie in the box. The umpires have a crack at him. You've got to keep him in that box, mate.
He's very passionate. I said, I always say to the coaches, we want a quiet box because we're thinking. But footy, your emotions crack in, don't they? And you get pretty excited, and it doesn't take much to turn pinhead, particularly if he thinks an umpire's given a bit of a dubious free kick. Well, it's pretty hard to reel him in.
Yeah, well, that's fair enough. But he is weak as water, because I tried to get him to come in. He wouldn't come in and talk. Look, mate, fantastic day. Anzac Day's always a great day at Inverleith. Look, I have to mention what you did before the game. It was just beautiful. It was fantastic. You played the game, as did Belpost Hill, in the Anzac spirit. Great win today, and good luck for the rest of the year, mate.
Beauty. Thanks, Grubby.
Thanks, mate.
No worries.
Thanks, mate. Good on you, mate.
Sensational interview there with Grubby and Mark McDowell. Very happy Mark McDowell with a great win for the Inverleith Hawks over the Belpost Hill Panthers. We're going to take a break now, pay some bills, and we'll be right back after this.
We come together, the best from all the league, to show them how to play and form a mighty team. The pride of our region with all our favourite sons.